can talk to Shani anytime. It doesn't matter day or night. Shani, giving you light and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can't talk about. Shani, get ready to start the show. Yo, I'm Shani, and you know we're gonna talk. Ordinary people and extraordinary God. Check the reference in Ephesians 5. We walking in the light, and we're living in love. You know we're Shani, we gon' keep it intact. Cause every Monday got it coming, yeah, we coming rock that. So act like you know, we get it on and poppin' at the Shani Show. You can talk to Shani anytime. It doesn't matter day or night. Shani, we're giving you light and love. There's nothing you can talk about with Shani. Welcome to another episode of the Sharing with Shani show. I am your host, Shani. I got my co-host, Mika Fresh, in the building. I got my special guests, power couple, Iesha and Mike Rosenberg. I put the wrong name on the flyer. We'll talk about that in a minute. Mika.
What's up?
I have not seen your beautiful face in 4 Mondays.
Has it been 4 Mondays? Okay, 4 Mondays.
Well, I think I don't know how many Mondays there are in a year. So
that's right. We established that
last year. So
you got to give us a year of Mondays. Like Mondays only equaled 1 year. I was like, no. Nobody needs that.
So I'm not doing the counting.
That sounds accurate, though. That sounds accurate.
All right. So how was your holiday? How was your Merry Christmas? Your Happy New Year? Did you get your Black Excellence? Because I saw pictures. I saw Black Excellence in the pictures.
Black Luxury Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah. I got it. I made it happen. My sister, actually, if it wasn't for her, I don't think it would have fallen together, because I was really ready to say, maybe not in 2020, because it was a grand vision, and I was working really hard the last 2 weeks. So it came to fruition. I was very, very pleased. And so was everyone else. It was a great Christmas with my immediate family. And after that, Shani, I was the Sunday after Christmas, I woke up thinking it was Monday. And I had 2 clients on Monday, and I texted them like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to make it. I'm not feeling too well. My one client was like, what are you doing? Today is Sunday. And I was like, oh, are you sure? She was like, yeah. I had a really bad issue with sinuses. You probably still hear it, but I was like, fall halfway off the bed. I mean, I looked like I drank a bunch of tequila and, had wild thoughts and long nights and stuff like that. And I didn't do none of that. That was what was crazy about it. I mean, like, if you're going to wake up like that, can I have the fun that caused it? But nope. I just woke up not feeling good, sounding like a frog lived in my throat. And I was like that for a full week. So I took PTO to be not well. That was horrible. So what I learned from that, though, honestly, what I'm working on for this year is to be better at prioritizing myself, okay, and taking the suggestions that I give to my clients, which is put yourself first, be kind to yourself, nourish yourself. I realize it is very easy for me to like be a cheerleader for everyone else, and I don't do that for myself. I don't think it's on purpose. Like, it ain't because I hate myself and nothing like that. I don't be thinking about it enough. And my body, this is the third time in like a year and a half It's like whenever I have a break, my body be like, ooh, downtime.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna just shut it down
Right.
because you don't let us, reboot. I
Yeah.
mean, Shani, when I tell you I was out, I was out. I remember just sitting on the bed like, can I just get up and see the sunshine? It was bad. I was just like laid out in the bed like, oh Lord. And then everybody think you got COVID when you
That's the first thing I was about to say. Were you sneezing in public? Because that was going to be problematic.
Nah, I stayed in the house and I didn't say nothing. No, I didn't even call anybody because I sounded awful too.
Hmm.
And I didn't have a call for anything. It was just, really congested. But I think subconsciously feel like I can make people sick over the phone. So like I just don't call them. Yeah, if
Really?
anybody is coughing or sneezing, I'd be like, you gotta hang up. Text me, email me. I just save that. Save all of that. The long-term effects of this virus has yet to be seen, but I'm gonna tell y'all, I think I'm gonna be paranoid for a while.
Yeah, I'm thankful I didn't get sick or anything, but I was reminded, and we talk about this all the time on the show about how like strong people need to self care and and
Yeah,
it we say it all the time. We must be talking to ourselves, but we don't
probably.
listen. But
We need to
I'm not
listen
gonna
too.
lie, the 4 weeks off was necessary.
Yes.
Not just for self care, but as a creative, like when you're constantly going and trying to produce content,
Yeah.
you don't have space to like come up with creative ideas,
Yeah.
right? And that space of not having to do anything,
Mm-hmm.
I have so many ideas. I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm. That's
Like
great.
it gave me time to think. And so we're
That's
going
nice.
to do a better job at taking time off.
Yeah. I said it was ironic for me. I was like, I don't think I've ever taken a week of PTO. First of all, I don't think I ever had a job where I had, that's not true. That's not. It's been a long time, since I had a job. Since 2014, being laid off in 2014. So being a contractor means whenever you take off, you're eating that, right? You don't get paid time off. And then whatever you're doing in that time off is extra money. So that, from 2014 up until December last year, that was my life. And so this time, I was like, all right, we doing PTO, we going to Hawaii, we gonna live it up, we gonna have a vacation because I worked real hard and I earned it. I deserve this.
Right.
COVID happened. I left the time off because I knew by the end of the year I was gonna need that time. And so, the creator made sure I used that time. He really did. He was like, you ain't going nowhere. And I wasn't contagious sick, and I wasn't even sick like I just, when you have like that pounding headache, that's enough to make you sit down somewhere. So that's what it was. God was like, go sit down somewhere and I'll tell you when you can get up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
God,
all good
when
though.
God puts you on timeout, you gotta listen.
He really did.
like, like you better listen.
Yeah. That's what it was. That's what it felt like.
Like go sit down somewhere. What's the wellness whisper? So as we this is our second Monday back. I mean, it's already January 11th, and we could talk about a lot of stuff that's already happened in 2021. But what is our wellness whisper for the week?
So I need to have a whole show conversation, right? But I see the beautiful how you say their last name? Because you kind of messed up a little bit.
I did.
Say
Rosenborough. That's your last name, right?
Rose is my last name.
What's your last name? Don't listen to him.
His wife's sitting there real quiet, like, should I say something or should I not? The whisper, the question is, so thinking about everything that I just said, everything that Shani said, we'll see how this plays out into the rest of the show, right? I'm curious to know how people show up for themselves. So I shared my mess. My mess is that, I can be a real big cheerleader for everyone else. And an advocate for everyone else, like, hey, did you get 8 hours of sleep? Did you have your water? Did you eat your fruit? I don't be asking myself none of them questions. That is not okay. It's not okay at all. So, being a really big caretaker, helper, and healer, I have to direct a lot of that energy back to myself. And so the question is, how do you show up for yourself? And the whisper is, show up for yourself.
Perfect. I'm typing this because we don't have Donna right this week. How do you show up? How do you show? Mm. That's a good question. I don't even know how to answer it for myself.
And it made me think. I'm still thinking. I know how I don't show up for myself. Clearly, I don't rest when I need to rest. As soon as my body sees a moment, it's like, mine. I'm taking it.
Right. For those of you that are watching live on Facebook, I know we have a few. I'm gonna get to the comments in a minute, but drop the comment if you know. Tell us how you show up for yourself. And what was the other part, Mika?
Show up for yourself.
Show up.
It was
and if you're not doing that, start doing it.
Yeah.
Mika, how can people get in contact with you?
Meet Mika Fresh, Mika Fresh, MEETMIKA Fresh.com.
All right.
Y'all heard that? .com. I can add it.
Got a website.
Cornball. I'm such a cornball.
Yes.
Just the little things. Whatever.
Yes. If you've been following us, Mika always says the website is under construction. The website is under construction. The website is live and published. Please go to it. Yeah. And follow her. She's doing great things. She has an awesome nonprofit. She doesn't like to tote on herself or dote. You don't self.
I'm learning.
You don't self-market. You need to.
I'm learning. I am learning. I'm learning my so I'm on Clubhouse, and I think it was on Friday. I was in a pitch room, like perfect your pitch. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what that is, but I want to unlearn it. I'm unlearning some things, What'd you say, Mike?
I'm lost in the Clubhouse, period.
No. I know what Clubhouse is. I don't know what it is, why it's so difficult for me to pitch. To market, to market
I probably was in that room with you. I'm in that room very often, and I've been forcing myself to speak and try to pitch, but
because nobody knows if you don't ask, right? I mean, it's a very simple thing, and I just be like waiting, just waiting. I'm very patient, but closed mouths really don't get fed.
They really don't. You have not because you ask not.
Right. Period. So I'm trying to learn how to ask.
All right. I'm gonna bring Mike and Iesha into the conversation. So I don't even know how long I've known y'all, but I'm gonna say at least 5 years, right? Ministry partners. Used to do this Friday night, my open mic night. You were doing Parlay in Christ. It's a small city. You do the same thing. The same people, right? And then, so I met Mike, and then his rap group came on the show when it was a radio show. Then Iesha has a nonprofit. She came on the show when it was a radio show. Power couple, y'all under 40, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All in love, married.
They look like
they.
What?
Yeah,
What'd you say?
Barely.
He already started.
Barely. Yeah.
She's under 40. I'm barely under 40.
Well, everybody's under 40 on this call except for me. But anyway, they started this podcast called Till Death Do Us Part, and was very I like anything with authenticity. I like anything where it's like truth telling and honesty and openness and showing people that, you can love God, you can still have swag, you can still, you know, uh have the same feelings that before, there's like this before Christ and after Christ. Like you don't have to change your personality. You might have to change behavior, but you don't have to change who you are and who God created you to be. That's one of the things that I resonated with the show, wanted to bring them on so other people can know about the show and follow them, because there's room at the table for everybody. And so
it really is.
that is my introduction. So tell us about yourself in your own words.
All right. So I'll go first if that's okay. Well, I feel like I'm a philanthropist. I love working with and for people. I absolutely love the Lord. And I'm excited to be here. Go ahead, babe.
I am under construction.
He always be coming up with these. All right, Pastor Mike.
So because I'm constantly growing, right?
Right.
And not only am I constantly growing, I'm constantly being human, right? I'm always in the process of becoming. You understand what I'm saying? I don't feel like I've arrived yet. I don't feel like I've even scraped the surface of where I'm going, but I know that I'm in the process of going, so, and I feel like the reason for the podcast is because we've been doing ministry, but not together, so it's either a support her while she in ministry or a support me while I'm in ministry. And it's finally the point where we have to start doing it together. And I guess that's, I don't know.
So how's it going? Like, what do you find like the most challenging about doing ministry together?
That we're two different people.
Yes. Coming to that middle ground.
Yeah.
Because I'll have one idea, he'll have another idea, and we're both very strong-minded.
But it always works out for the screen. It always, what you doing, fat? Stop. It always works out for the screen, though. The planning is the strenuous part, but it always works out for the screen. Okay, come on, the people hear you. Let's go. Come on. Don't bring
that I will be heard.
Right. Like you gonna bring me into this. This is a whole family affair. So tell us when the podcast airs and like what are some of the topics that you talk about? Like what's been the best, or not the best, but what's been the most like talked about podcast so far?
I guess the most talked about thing is trying to relinquish your selfishness. I feel like even though people say, man, money's the biggest issue, or this is communication is the biggest issue, I think it's our own personal selfishness is the biggest issue. Either whether you deal with money or you deal with communication, when you think that it's only about you, that's where the issue lies. When you think that you're in control of it all, or everything has to go the way that you expect it to be, I think that's the biggest problem. Because then we make it feel like it's not two people coming one. There's one person that's, I guess. Come here.
Yeah, I would agree. That whole, merging into that one body, one mind has been like the hardest for most of our listeners. And even that forgiveness piece too. A lot of people talk about going to bed mad. It's hard to get over certain situations. Yeah.
Why? I wonder why is forgiveness hard? Okay, you're married, Mika. I'm single, so I'm not married anymore. So, but why would you say that as a married person, forgiveness and selfishness? What would be your top two?
Communication because I don't really be caring. I don't go to bed mad. I'm over it. I'm usually over it before it's even done happening. I don't care much about much. I'm so serious. It's all small stuff to
Wait a
me.
minute. You said I don't care much about much?
Yeah, that's what I said. It's all small stuff is what I'm saying. None of it is worth arguing. You know, if you're not popping me upside my head and you're not bringing me STDs, it can all be talked out.
Right.
You them two, we ain't no more talking. It's no more talking. But I feel like anything between that, you know, I'm using anything very loosely. I'm sure someone could sit and think about something. Just follow along, people. You know, I'm not about creating problems. I'm really not. I got enough. It's enough problems exist.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you yelling at me or, you know, disagreement, whatever it might be, I'm usually over it before it even ends. My problem is when, so maybe it is a selfish thing, Mike. My problem is when we cannot discuss it because of either a lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of, you know, just kind of self-discipline, whatever it is, but we're not gonna leave this problem a problem.
So I think a lot of the time that's the issue that we have. Mm-hmm. You understand? Because all of our lives, right? Mm-hmm. We're told to be mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So mm-hmm. for a long time, I'm told to be mm-hmm. and now she has to ask me. I have to calmly have a conversation with somebody mm-hmm. when I'm used to being when it's an issue, you know. Uh-huh. So I think that's the hardest part of the discussion for me, you know, because she kind of the same way. She's kind of like over it before, but I'm like, listen, we need to take a break. I don't feel like talking about that no more.
And I'm like, why you that mad? You gotta take a break. It wasn't even that serious.
I've already been yelling for 20 minutes, man. I need to take a break. But you know, I don't know. I guess at some point we'll be able to suck it up and be able to do it. But you know, it's hard to overturn those things that you've dealt with for almost 40 years for me. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just I guess that's the issue.
Yeah. I would say, you know, you have two individuals coming together to become one, right? And the fact remains that it's individuals, right? So you have two different childhood traumas, because we all had childhood trauma, right? Two different experiences. We might all be Black on this call, but we wasn't all raised the same, right? So then there are just things that you have to either learn or unlearn. And then you got to create what works for you, right? I think so often we go into either we don't have a marriage that we can look at as healthy and say, oh, this marriage worked. I want to emulate this. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times we're the first, we are the first people to get married. Like, because, mm-hmm. you know, I will take my mother, for instance. My mother was not a proponent of marriage. She never got married. She had me at 30. And even when she was in long-term relationships, right? The person that I look at as my stepfather was a 17-year-old relationship. And I didn't even know that until she was on her deathbed that she never wanted to get married. Mm-hmm. I was like, how come y'all never get married? She's like, didn't want to do that. You never had a conversation about that, right? But then I got my grandparents that, you know, were married for like 42 years until my grandfather passed. So, but marriage was never a conversation in my house. Mm-hmm. And what that did for me was I wanted this traditional family. So I sought that out. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted the husband, wife, and kids. It didn't, when I was in my 20s, it didn't matter who it was. Mm-hmm. I just wanted the picture. Okay. Then I was like, oh, this is work. Right. Yeah. Right. I'm like, oh, this is like a job. All right.
Especially when you get a knucklehead.
Right. Right. And so, now there's like this maturity level. Like if that is something that you want, let's get beyond the wedding, because I think a lot of people get married because they want the wedding, right?
Absolutely.
They want the wedding. Like,
really, is that a thing?
Huh?
Is that a thing?
Yes, girl. The ring and the wedding is a thing. It's a serious thing.
Okay.
It's really the proposal. I think that's what they want. And I'm not even gonna lie. I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere. Do you know I had been married twice and never been asked? That is the problem with my marriages. Ain't nobody ever asked me. It was just pillow talk. I'm just keeping it 100. Hey, let's get married. Okay.
Okay.
And I realized through Jesus and therapy, somebody needs to want to be your husband.
That's right.
You don't just go have these conversations anymore, right? Because I was watching this documentary, and the common denominator was they were all asked. So yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're gonna have to ask if there ever is a third time, because I'm and that's it. That's a highly if. Like, you're gonna have.
You sound open, which is great.
What?
You sound open.
Yes,
open to me.
I feel like I'm marriage material. So yes, I'm open.
You better know that.
So
you better know that.
Why do you think, I want to go back to this forgiveness thing, because this has just piqued my interest of like, why do you think it's hard to forgive in marriages? Like, why is that a big deal?
You know why?
Why?
Because we got so abused in a place where we were powerless.
Woo!
Say more.
So as a kid, right? Now let me
wait. Hold on, Mike. Hold on. That's got to resonate for just. Hold on. Let it simmer. Yeah. I'm with you. All right. Continue, sir. Please do.
We've been so abused in a place where we felt like we were powerless. We weren't powerless. It was just the person that abused us had authority over us.
That's real talk.
So we feel like we were abused in a place where we were powerless. So you always look at forgiveness as accepting a place where you were powerless, instead of looking at it in a place where you have already retained the power that you thought that you lost.
There you go.
So a lot of the times we don't want to forgive because we look at forgiveness as that 7-year-old or that 6-year-old, or that 8-year-old, or that 9-year-old that has been abused, instead of that 38-year-old who is in control of everything that God has given him.
So we feel like we're relinquishing power by forgiving.
Right. Instead of saying, even if I could put myself back in that, if I put myself back in that place as the person I am now, that person wouldn't dare try that with me. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's how you have to look at it. They only did it because they could. Mm-hmm. If they had to face the person who I am now, they wouldn't dare try it. So if you were able to put yourself back in that position, how much power would you actually get back?
Right.
None. Because you've already got it back.
Exactly.
You're already in control. See, we look at those positions from being abused instead of being a victor of that situation.
Yep.
Yeah. I can definitely agree with him when he say it's a control thing. I feel like a lot of people find it hard to forgive because some people have a time with admitting that they were wrong. You know, because saying that I'm wrong means that whatever you have in your mind, you know, means that I failed or I'm not good enough or I'm inadequate. You know, some people tie being right to their self-esteem, to their own self-worth, always having the right answer. So forgiveness can be really challenging for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. But I know
it's pride and ego thing.
Ego, absolutely.
It's gotta die.
Yeah,
gotta die.
Ego definitely has to die. Let me get some shout outs here. because before I get in trouble. So we want to shout out to Danae for watching. Thank you. Thank you, Pamela Carter, for watching. She said, talk to us, son. Thank you, Monique. Monique, the Factor, Patrick, for watching. Thanks, Brian, for watching. Shamika Hines is on the line. Thank you, Rico Montana, for watching. So we're speaking live with Mike and Iesha Rose, along with Mika Fresh, and talking about just a whole bunch of stuff. Tell us about your ministries. Like, what are you guys doing besides the podcast?
Can I say something? Can I ask y'all a question before you get there?
You sure can.
Quick? So when Mike was talking about like selfishness, right? I find that one of the things that can really help, and this is in any kind of relationship, because sometimes, when people like marriage is hard, right? I think that these are the same people that probably don't know how to cultivate relationships in general. They probably don't really have good, healthy friendships, good, healthy, like child and parentships, like just relationships in general they require work. You can't just let it sit there on the strength of, oh, that's my mama, I ain't talked to her in 20 years, but when I pick up the phone, like, it's all good. It probably is all good, but it ain't all good. You know what I'm saying? Mama don't hate you or nothing like that, but you didn't put in any work in that relationship. And so I notice, especially now, especially as an adult, like Shani is a friend, but Shani is an adult friend, like one adult friend that I've made in the last 10 years. Because I've noticed adults don't want new friends. They don't know how to do it. It's weird. It's awkward. Weird.
You think, right? Like,
when we were children, you just show up next to somebody on the
plane. She want to talk to me. What's wrong with her? Like,
right.
Like,
and a lot of the time, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm because it's probably going to go somewhere else outside of marriage, right? But I feel like a lot of the times, the people who lead us sometimes don't show us the correct way.
No, they
either.
don't.
You understand what I'm saying? Because just like you saying, right? When you say in a marriage, two people becoming one, right? Mm-hmm. When you put new brakes on your car, they sound bad until they mesh together.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And we don't ever realize that even though we're two people trying to function in this relationship, during the process of us learning each other, it's gonna be some friction. Yeah. We feel like, oh, I'm gonna get married and everything is gonna be okay. Mm-hmm. That's not what happens. We feel like, oh, because I battle with lust, I'm gonna be okay and God is gonna forgive me for my sex. Now you're gonna get in the marriage and go sleep with somebody else. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of the times our minds are not transformed to the situation and that we headed into. Because the people who are supposed to be showing us the way to do it is not showing us the right way.
Yeah.
It's like information that we get from other people don't work with our marriage because their hearts are not even in the same place that our hearts are in. And then when even with that, right, when David went to fight Goliath, right, David went with the tools to fight Goliath that God gave him. Mm-hmm. Saul came trying to put his helmet on David. Mm-hmm. Y'all head's not even the same size. Mm-hmm. How you gonna try to send this man into a war with something that don't even fit him? And a lot of the times, that's what's going on. The people who leading us, sending us into a war with stuff that don't even fit us. Because it fit them, they feel like it's supposed to fit us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not one size fit all at all.
Right.
I tell people all the time, like, you have to find what works for your marriage. And in order to do that, you have to communicate, you have to relate, right? Like, you have to be a couple. I remember growing up, my stepdad, this is something that I talked to my mom about, as an adult. My stepdad, they're not married anymore. My stepdad could cook, right? My mom, this is not a secret. You probably don't want her to make, Thanksgiving dinner for you. She can contribute some dishes, but the whole Thanksgiving dinner, you might be just a little bit disappointed. And as a child, it was worse. I learned how to cook at like 6.5 because I was just like, oh Lord, what is this? What are we doing? And so when my mom got married, like, I think my stepdad, in the nicest way, began cooking because he didn't like her cooking. He would just be like, I'm gonna fix dinner for y'all, for me, my cousin, and my little sister. And we liked it, we would eat it up. And I'm sure my mom enjoyed that too, because she doesn't like cooking, right? And so he was a very good homemaker. Like, he was a great stay-at-home dad. That's not what he wanted, and that's not what she wanted, right? Mm-hmm. For him, that narrative that's been told to him over and over again was a man takes care of his household. You got to bring home the bacon, and for her, the narrative that she was told was the same thing. But if she was the one that's working and he was the one that was taking care of the household, what part of that did not work?
Right.
Not one thing. Because I know as a child in the household, we was all happy. He helped me do my homework. When my mom came home, she didn't have nothing to do, so she was happy, and she would check in like, hey, Mimi, what you been doing today? Like, I didn't see an issue, but for them, because someone else gave them their narrative, they tried to make that fit their marriage, and it didn't work at all. Like, it just didn't work for them. And so now you missed out on a great partnership because you feel like you got the wrong partner because somebody else's partner told you it's supposed to look this way.
Exactly.
You know what happens, Mika? You know what happens? You remember when you had visitors come to your house, right? And your parents always told you, don't go down there and mess up that room. Before they leave, you help you clean up, right?
Right.
They was protect your house from visitors.
Right.
A lot of the problems in our household come from people that are visiting.
Visitors.
Right.
When we become adults, we don't protect our house from visitors.
Yeah.
We let the visitors come in, leave mud, leave dirt, and then when they leave all happy, and they kids leaving with them all happy. And me and my wife frustrated because our kids' room is destroyed, and they done left mud and the dishes is dirty. But we didn't protect our house from the visitors. We always allow the visitors to come in and add extra stuff on top of the stuff that we already have.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
Or we're getting advice from people that are not married.
Exactly.
Or
even in a relationship.
People that's bitter.
They single, trying to give you married information.
Or they want you.
Right. Ooh. So I don't know where this fits in, but I just have this scenario about maybe it's a communication thing, right? So I was in this group.
Definitely.
I was in this group and I was sharing this old story because it was an argument over he was upset because his wife didn't clean the house. Right? It was a big argument. And it took me back to a time, like I have PTSD over this. Because I got a list, like 99 reasons why I want a divorce. So I got this list, and that was on the list for me. Because I wasn't. So if anybody who knows me, I am really good at, if it's already clean, I can keep it clean. Right. So the year was 2002. I met my then husband. Right. He was not my husband then, but that's when I met. That's when we met. And I used to pay for a maid service.
Okay.
Right. And he said, you're wasting money. But I know my weakness. I know my skill set. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't think I'm wasting money. Right. So this becomes an issue. Now, I never asked, could you pay my maid bill? Never asked that in the whole, right? So this was an issue for 2 years, right? I stopped paying the maid service. We're not even married yet, but I stopped because this is an issue, right? And it was never a solution to my problem, right? So then 15 years later, so I just laughed. Back in 2002, I was just laughing. Now we're in 2017. It's still an issue. It was never resolved because I never learned how to clean. Right? And so he's like, you don't even care about the dishes. I didn't care about the dishes in 2002. That's why Maria was washing the dishes. I'm trying to tell y'all. And my whole point to this is, it was a failure to communicate because I left off.
I don't think it was a failure to communicate.
Well, okay, you're the man in the conversation. What was it? Because
it was a failure of him stepping up in the role that you lacked in.
Go ahead. Okay, Mike. All right.
You were paying the maid service, right? If common sense would tell me, if you're paying the maid service, you don't want to clean up.
I don't.
So if I'm going to make an issue about you paying the maid service, then I have to realize that I'm going to have to clean up. Either I'm going to allow you to have the maid, or I'm going to step up in the situation, in the issue that you don't want to do. A lot of the time, that's what it is. It's like, if I'm creating an issue in this place, I got to be willing to fulfill that place.
Right. Don't bring me a problem without a solution.
Right. That was my thing.
You in a place that I'm not willing to walk in.
Hello.
Mismanaged expectations.
There we go.
Woo.
I'll say more on that.
Well, it's a whole thing. It really is. I think we all have expectations about anything, any endeavor, whatever we're doing in our life, we have an expectation, becoming a mother, becoming married, becoming a parent. I'm sorry, Mike, becoming a parent, getting married, starting a business, going back to school, whatever it might be. We have this idea and this vision of what it's supposed to, what we want it to look like. Okay. Right. And the problem with that is we leave it there. We don't stay open and flexible. A lot of times we're also not very realistic, because again, it's probably because someone else fed us their dream and their vision, and they told us what it looked like for them. And we just absorbed all of that. And so I think, a part of being able to get along and relate to people is applying some wisdom, being flexible and understanding that it ain't always going to look the way I think it's going to look, but that doesn't mean that it's not working.
Right.
Learn. This Billy Joel song comes on all the time. Leave a tender moment alone, right? It's kind of my line that I say to my husband when he's staring up stuff. I be like, hey, what Billy Joel say? He said, leave a tender moment alone. If it's working, let it be. You don't have to poke at it. You don't have to rough it up and I've done this for A, B, C, D, but it really should have just been A. Okay, go back to the drawing board, see what works for you, see what's not working for you, and we can readjust. But why are we poking at that? Mismanaged expectations gets a lot of us in trouble, especially when it comes to marriage. It does. And I will go out on a limb and say this. I think a lot of us put some serious weight on looking at how marriage worked for other people. So I heard you say earlier, we were probably the first ones to be married in our families, or to have a successful marriage, or whatever that might be. And sometimes when things don't go wrong, I've heard, I didn't have a good marriage role model to look up to. I don't necessarily believe in that. I don't know if believe is the right word. I don't necessarily think that is the issue, because that's probably true for a lot of our lives in general.
Right.
I'm the first person in my family to have a master's degree. Okay. Ain't nobody show me what that looked like. Right. My mom was the first to have a bachelor's degree. Nobody showed her what that looked like. So it's we know what we want, and we figure out how to make things happen in a lot of areas of our lives. But when it comes to marriage and motherhood, parenthood, we like to blame other people for it. And I don't think that's fair. And I don't think that is true. Yeah, for real. You probably didn't have a good role model to look at for what a healthy marriage looked like, but that doesn't mean you can't figure that out for yourself. You knew what it shouldn't look like, or what you didn't want it to look like. So we start there. Right. Mismanage expectations.
That's good stuff.
That's a really good point there. That's a really good point.
So Oliver says, don't give boyfriend husband privileges. I think
never
to me. Danae said amen. Pastor Oliver said premarital counseling. Yes, we didn't do that. So yeah, thank you so much.
Some people doing it still is an issue.
Miss Robin said, hey, And Nicole Brown is watching us also. So yeah. Did you guys do premarital counseling?
Yeah. Okay. So our counseling.
What is this? What is this?
We're about to tell you why.
That's what it was called.
It was one day we went to Ruth Chris.
No, it was more than we went more than once. We went more than once. 2 times we went. Yeah. Okay. Well, so we went to the most expensive restaurants in the city when we went.
Okay. Before going, we were given an assignment to read Genesis, the story of Adam and Eve, right? And we talked about it over dinner, right? And that was premarital counseling for us.
What?
So look, that was so.
It was like new.
No, not only that was the place where they saw what God put in me, and they were trying to coddle it.
Okay.
So we had the
that's a word right there.
A lot of things. We got the privileges of a lot of things because I felt as though they never wanted us to go. So it was never like a challenge. So because it wasn't a challenge, it was like we hanging out with the leader and her husband, and we having dinner, and we talking about something that we read, or we was trying to talk about something that we read, and then we did it again, and then we did it again, and that was it. You know, it was one of those. It wasn't a challenge because I got my first license at my wedding.
And he's talking about pastoral license.
I got my minister license at my wedding. So you understand what I'm saying? And I kind of sort of don't think that I was ready for it, but it was something that I needed to be pushed into. So it was something that I was pushed into. But then after that, I had to learn a lot at home and just a direct download. It was nobody leading me. It was no pastor, what you think about this or what you think about that. It was me in my house, you know. So it was a crazy situation.
The church was fairly new, and they were just like getting up and going. So they didn't have all that stuff formulated yet. But I will say the way she broke down that scripture was impactful, and it kind of let us know the role of wife and husband. But we did not go into detail as to discuss our expectations. We didn't talk about parenting. We didn't talk about finances. We didn't talk about like none of that stuff. So when we hop in marriage, we like, what is this? Like we had no clue what to expect. I mean, the first week we was talking about annulments. Like it was crazy.
That sounds familiar. Hey.
I mean, what I expected was something totally different. And I know he expected something totally different. I mean, the first year I was facing unemployment. I was getting unemployment. He was just new to working, just new to stabilizing. So he was like, hold up, I'm not used to all this responsibility. And I'm like, hold up, I'm not used to you not being ready for this responsibility. And I'm just, it was a whole lot. It was a whole lot. And had we went to premarital counseling, I feel like we would have been more prepared. We would have known, like, okay, to prepare for something like this. If this was to happen, this is how you prepare for it. Like, we didn't have that conversation, you know. So at that point, it was already I'm not going to say too late, but we were already in it. You know what I mean? So
I think that, you know,
premarital counseling, you got to have somebody who's good at teaching you how to love. And then you got to have somebody that's also good at showing you how to come out of your tantrum. That person got to be able to send you guys into a tantrum and then talk you out of it. So you know how to come out of that situation when you by yourselves. So, and
you know what I think is important? Do you guys have like a marriage ministry, a couples ministry at your church?
Yeah, the our pastor and first lady does marriage ministry too.
I think it's important because if you think about it, like premarital counseling, I'm be honest and tell you, I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what the objective is. I did it because, again, someone told me I should do it, right? And it was like, hey, before y'all get married, you should do premarital counseling. I was like, okay. But can you imagine trying to set the blueprint for a forever relationship? What does that look like? Where do you even begin? Where do you go? I feel like it's a continual thing. I feel like maybe some of us, maybe me, I'll own it. Maybe I thought I was gonna get, these nuggets and miracle answers, from the 4 premarital counseling sessions that we had, but really it's just a foundation. It's just a starting point. It needs to be continued because people evolve, right? We evolve when we're married.
I was just about to say that premarital counseling is just the beginning stage to show you how to do it. But as time progresses, it's something you should always revisit and reconsider because, as you stated, we definitely evolve. And as we evolve, things change. Plans change, situations change, everything change. And you should always, me personally, I like to plan. Plan gives me peace of mind. It calms me down. If we're not planning, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So the plan is, to me, it helps guide and direct your life. Lets you know, hey, this is where we're headed. Everything in your life, I believe you should have some kind of objective. There should be some end goal. Whether you make it or not, that's different. But just have that goal. It kind of helps guide your life and your marriage. Period.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Marriage is, I feel like, the best and the worst ministry ever. Right. First of all, understanding that it is a ministry, right?
Not for the weak at heart. I will tell you.
That's because it shows you how strong and how weak you are at the same
time and all the time. I'll be like, Dad, can somebody cover this mirror, please?
So when I was in marriage counseling. I did go to marriage counseling before, it was over. But I remember my marriage counselor saying, like, for premarital counseling, his objective is to break people up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how serious it is. Because if he can break you up by just the 2, like whatever the 6 sessions are all about, then you're not really ready for marriage.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's for real.
Yeah, I think the reason why marriage is so hard is because the real meaning of it, marriage was designed to kind of be like a symbol of God's love for his church. So just as God continually loves us in spite of, that's what marriage is supposed to symbolize. And because the symbol is so great, I believe that's why it's attacked so hard. That's why the crazy things come up when even the little smallest things irk you. Like, oh my God, you didn't put the toilet seat down. Like everything is so major because of the power in which the power that's associated with marriage. Like, just being married, a lot of times me and Mike, we be going through it, and just being married, somebody on the outside will say, oh my God, just seeing you guys reminds me that love is real. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just power that's associated with marriage. I think that's more so what's under attack versus the marriage.
Most definitely.
I think it's definitely the union. So with about 7 minutes left, we just came out of a 10-month quarantine. 2020, put stress on marriages like you would never.
We came out of it.
But we still in it. But
just want to make sure.
I feel like if marriages made it and you said Happy New Year with your,
I know that's right.
Then y'all can make it. You can make it anywhere.
I'm gonna put that on repeat.
Because I'm not here. Let me tell you something. I'm not even gonna speak. I think I've been talking too much, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I can't hold it. It was like when we were like first in the pandemic, right? And I started hearing like people breaking up, right? And then all of a sudden, Niecy Nash got married. She got divorced, and then she got married, right?
I missed that.
She married a female.
No.
a woman, right?
Niecy
and I was
Nash, like clean house Niecy Nash?
Yeah, her.
Yeah.
Wow, I missed that.
So I was just like, 2020 can just do things. It could change people, right? And then I was thinking to myself, if I was still married in a pandemic, somebody wasn't gonna make it out of 20. I just know it wouldn't have been healthy. So there was a lot of unhealthy. Yeah.
Why do you say that?
You was married to a comedian, though.
Wait, not your business. Not your business.
I mean, like, what that's supposed to be?
But that's the same. Listen, people be like, I bet y'all don't never argue because Mike just so funny.
Okay, but for real?
I'm talking about us.
Oh. Because, timing.
Like, I bet y'all never argue because Mike just so funny. I'm like, man, y'all don't even know.
She might not
think he's funny
all the time.
Right. Do you think he's funny?
All the time.
Yes.
She ain't said a word.
Yes.
My husband don't think that I'm not a comedian, but I do think that I'm funny. My husband does not find my humor.
You kept me laughing the whole show.
I'm a comedian, but I am very witty. I think I'm witty.
I'm quick with it, yeah.
I think I could write for comedians. I'm a good writer.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I think I could do that.
Yeah, but I'm not doing any stand-up, but I could definitely.
I think I could do stand-up because I'm a storyteller.
I'm a storyteller too, but I'm not getting up stage and talking about it. But my whole point, let me get back to my point, because I'll be losing, I'm over 40, I'll be losing my thought.
Stop that.
2020, y'all all okay. What was the key to, do you feel like your marriage grew? Like did you get closer to your spouse in 2020?
I feel triggered.
And if so,
mind your business, Shani.
I think you did get closer to your spouse, Mika.
I haven't killed him.
He's so stupid.
No. I will say that I have learned some things, probably mostly about myself.
No.
And I think what I've learned really was more about me than it was about him. I'm so serious, because there are times where, I'd be like ready to tap out in certain, not marriage, like not in divorce. That's not what I mean. But there are things like I will ask God, like, what are you doing? Why do you feel this is appropriate? He's like, because you can handle it.
Right.
I don't want to though. That's the difference. Like, I don't want to. This is a whole lot. But what I've learned, my pastor always says, when there were times where I was just like, listen, what situations make a divorce okay? Like, can you just help me in that situation? And she just, she'll just look at me and then she'll just be like, do you believe that it all works together for your good? Yeah, Pastor, I do. And she said, then that's enough. You have to believe that. And I just be looking at her like, that ain't what I came here for. Like, you're not telling me what I'm wanting to hear. But in keeping that in my mind, right, I began to connect a lot of stuff. If marriage is a ministry, okay, and that means Jay and I are two ministers, all right? Whatever I'm going through is to perfect our ministry. That's really how I had to look at it, is to perfect our ministry. And that whole thing that she was saying earlier, like the symbolism of how God loves, his children, right? I really do think about that, especially now being a mother. I be thinking about that. I be thinking like, oh my God. Oh Lord, this is some strong love. This is some strong love, some faithful love, because it take a whole lot, to go through some of the things that we go through as married people and still look at that person with love, like, you know what, I'm gonna love you through this. Especially for me, because I'll shut it down. I won't talk to you. I won't look at you. I don't have to say nothing for like, listen, I got a good streak. You'll break before I do. I ain't got to say nothing to nobody. But like, where's the loving at, right? So being shown myself is, it's not always fun. So I learned some things through the pandemic, and I will say, if my husband allows me to, yeah, I do think we got stronger. He might want to choke me though.
Says the therapist who's supposed to have all the tools.
Right. Well, he might be like, them tools don't work for me.
Mike and Iesha, did you get closer in 2020? Did the pandemic bring you closer together?
Absolutely. Mike and I, we are active. We believe in therapy. So
hey, say that again. Say it loud for the people in the back.
We believe in therapy. Throughout the pandemic, we have definitely been with our therapists. Talking. Even I noticed because we're stuck here with each other, we're forced to communicate a lot more. So communication and stuff like that has definitely improved a lot since we've been in here. Because usually we're like moving pieces, so we really don't have to talk together.
There you go.
Because we've been in here, oh yeah, he's going to see my face. The house is but so big. Now he got a little shed in the back, so he'll disappear out there. But he still have to come into the bathroom. So he sees me more. So we're kind of forced to handle each other, So I would definitely agree that this pandemic has been a blessing in disguise in so many ways.
Well, I would say that's because you want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because you said like we're forced to, right? You still got to accept it. Because there are some people that actively still be like, nah, I don't want to talk. You like,
I accept it. We have made the conscious decision.
There you go.
Yes.
I'm just grateful that God found me worthy when I was broken.
Amen.
All right.
Get myself together. I got this black guy that I've been dealing with, and he's been helping me make some revelations. So even in the place where I am now, where everything is getting put back together, I'm just happy that God woke up and chose me when I was broken. And that's my biggest plight. Yeah, we got a lot closer because I had to realize that I wasn't all right. And in the process of realizing that I wasn't all right, I had to realize that she wasn't all wrong.
Hey. See, that's the stuff they be talking about on their little podcast, Mika. That's why they had to come on here. He be dropping all these little.
It's crazy because you have to realize that sometimes your wife's voice sounds like Jesus. It's crazy because you have to realize that, like, she didn't say that. That came directly from God. It's a great thing, man. I think the pandemic has created an escape route for people who wanted to escape.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That's it.
And they created a safety net for people who wanted to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you need more than a year to realize that it's not going to work. Of course, it doesn't seem like it's going to work in a year. It might not seem like it's going to work in 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you can't, if you always got to hold on to the fact that you said that God told you that was your husband or wife. So you telling me God lied to you, or you lied on God? Which one is the case? So.
This has been great. We didn't even talk about what y'all do, but can you tell people about when you air your podcast? If you want to talk about Anointed Covering, I see it on your shirt. Shout out to that. But like the podcast airs on Friday nights, right?
Right. So
what is it called?
Because we got a new NCOIC at the base,
which is the supervisor at his job.
So the schedule has been weird. So we've taken a break. I think we're gonna go live this week though.
Yeah.
Friday. It should be the next 2 Fridays, and then we was doing like one Thursday, one Friday. because my schedule is supposed to flop. I'm supposed to be on a military schedule, but she came and rearranged the whole thing. So it's been really weird, man. But when we put it, when we're going to go live, we create the broadcast a couple of days before. So it goes to the Facebook and say they're going to go live at this time on this date.
Okay. Till death do us part.
Till death do us part. Till _death_do_part 3.10.12.
Yeah. Then we, like you
Instagram.
said, then we have Anointed Covering. And then the kids just created a logo.
It's supposed to be launching there.
They have Anointed Kids.
January 27th.
And I'm in the process of writing the book. So we've been working on a lot in the stay at home and don't walk on the street time.
Absolutely.
And Iesha, can you share just a little bit about your nonprofit?
Absolutely. I am the founder of Hope Esperanza Restoration and Empowerment Center, which is a multicultural 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering families who've experienced trauma. So that's me. We provide a plethora of services. You can learn more about our services at HEREcenter.org. And definitely here for you.
Awesome. Mika, thank you for coming on.
Most definitely.
The Sharon with Shani show highlights ordinary people working for an extraordinary God. We air every Monday night live. You can check out the replay that'll be on YouTube in about 2 or 3 hours whenever the production assistant feels like it, which is me. So next Monday, I can't even say his name right. And you know him, Mike, but he didn't send me no daggone headshot. I'm gonna call him out. Rick Torture is my special guest.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll get a flyer. I don't know. I'm about to pull one from Facebook.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
That's what I'm gonna have to do. So check us out.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I go on right on their Facebook and take them. I ain't waiting for them.
Check us out next Monday night. We'll be here.
All right.
How do you show up for yourself? We want to know. So hit us on the chat this week. Thank you. God bless you and peace.
Peace.